Tampa, and he says hello, and he's on Mad Dog Unleashed. Chris, welcome. How are you today? What do you have for me?
Hey, how are you doing, sir?
All right, Christopher, nice to talk to you. What's on your mind now? Let me hear.
Hey, did you see the explanation and play where Derek Johnson runs over Marcus Mariota, and he loses the football, and they called forward progress?
Yeah, that was a very shaky call. I know Austin in the ESPN booth thought it was the right play because forward progress had been stopped. That was a terrible call. Now, listen, it was a bad call. They would not have given Kansas City the touchdown. It would have been Kansas City ball at that point. They would not have give the touchdown. But remember,
still they get the ball. Yeah,
it still would have stopped the field goal. But remember, you had a 21-3 lead at the half, Chris. That was in the second quarter.
But,
you still should have won the game.
Different momentum. I think that would have totally destroyed, any chance of, that's hearsay now. But
well, Chris, no, you can't say that because the touchdown came with 3 seconds to go in the half, and so you would have had a 21-3 lead. You had a 21-3 lead. So if they weren't destroyed by that play, which came after the play that you're referring to, they wouldn't have been upset. They would have been destroyed by that by if they ruled that play properly. But you're right, that was a fumble. You're right about that.
I get your take on it, but it certainly was the wrong call. Listen, one other storyline I wanted to mention to you was, Tom Coughlin is deservedly getting a lot of credit here for, the Jaguars maybe returning to competitive football and getting this first playoff win. I wanted to see that now. If you notice that, he kind of has a parallel to when he was head coach of the Jaguars in that second year. This is his second year with the team. They made it as far as the AFC Championship game. They beat the Bills, coincidentally, in the first round of that game. Playoffs, and he had an unproven, somewhat mobile quarterback who certainly ran the football early in his career a lot better than he threw it in Mark Brunell.
Right.
So, I think that, Tom Coughlin has a lot of influence over this team, and should they beat Pittsburgh, you obviously know that they're going to be seeing and going to New England in the playoffs, and, maybe Bill Belichick, he still hasn't exercised the demons there with Tom Coughlin, and certainly that'll be
fair. I mean, again, I can't – when you got that kind of task on your hands to beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh, Chris, and Pittsburgh is reeling off that loss in Week 5, let them win a game first in Pittsburgh, and then we'll worry about the next week. I can't – Jacksonville and Tennessee are not good enough to be looking ahead to the championship game. You want to tell me Minnesota? They probably shouldn't be doing it either. But you want to tell me that Minnesota thinks 2 games away from going to a Super Bowl being a home team? They have both games in their building. I can maybe live with it. But I cannot live with Jacksonville saying, you know what, we win this game, we can recover what we lost in the 96 title game when Parcells beat us. I think they lost that game. I think they scored maybe 23-6. When they played that game at Old Schaefer Stadium with Bill. Freddie in South Carolina, and he's aboard. He's on Mad Dog Unleashed. Fred, welcome. How are you today? What do you have for me?
Good. How you doing? I just want to first off say thanks. I listen to you guys' show every day. It's my first time calling you.
Good to have you aboard, Freddie. All the calls we can get, we love. Good to have you with us. What's going on now? Let me hear.
Well, I was calling first off. I was just betting over the weekend myself, and so I did a 4-team teaser with 13 points. Took all the underdogs and sat back and.
Wait, hold on now. You did a 4-team teaser in the NFL, and you took all the underdogs, and you won it. You won then.
Yeah, hit it with 13 points. I had like 20. I think my lowest was Atlanta. I think I had 19 plus 19.
Oh, so you did it with the 13-point teaser, so you don't win nearly as much. But how much did you put on it? $100? What did it pay?
I threw 5 on it.
And how much did you get back?
Four and a quarter.
So you threw $500 on it, and you got how much back?
4 and a quarter.
So you won double your bet. Yeah. When you take the 13 points, what made you do 13 instead of 10?
Well, cause I wanted the extra 3 because I'm just looking at some of the scores from when they played in the past during the season. A lot of the teams, and especially in the playoffs, a lot of them don't get blown out. If they do, it's usually there's always one game or 1 or 2 games that might stand out where they'll. It's just it's off the grid, so I wasn't sure which way to go.
Well, how about this, Fred? How about if you played a $500 4-team teaser straight up with the underdogs? You would have won a ton of money. My goodness gracious.
Oh, I know. I didn't even think of that. But, yeah, it was a good weekend, though, that way.
Sure was.
The reason I was calling was about the Steeler game. I'm a big-time Steeler fan, and I think it can go 2 different ways. I don't want them to come out like they did last time. I think they came out like gunslingers. and it threw them off. I think this is going to be a heavy load of Bell, and they're going to see what Bortles can do.
I definitely think they're going to make the take Fournette away, and I mean that's the way to beat Jacksonville. You got to let the quarterback see if he can beat you, and I do think they'll take it easy and get Bell involved. I'm with you on that. Michael in Sacramento, California. Michael, your turn. How are you today? What do you have for me?
Hey, Chris, doing well. Just tired from the long weekend. Went down there and watched that game. They got about 75.
I know. We talked about the crowd. Seemed to be a pretty good crowd, though. They looked into it the whole way through, Mike. Is that correct?
Yeah, but the problem is, Chris, I was sitting down. I'm up here from Northern California, and I was down there with my buddies. We were loud, and we'd had a few, but we were very respectful, but loud and fun. And they didn't get into it. The only time they really, really got loud was when Robert Woods caught that ball at the end of the half. Goff made a pretty nice throw. They had a terrible first quarter, and that they got into it a little bit right before half. If they could have got a touchdown there, I think maybe they would have had a shot, but they just got outplayed, man. I'm the first one to call when my team loses a ball game, and they got outplayed on every facet of the game.
They did. They couldn't stop the Falcon running game in that second half. They ran right down their throats, for crying out loud. Every play. I don't know what the final tally was running the ball. I know nobody looked great doing it, but my goodness, those two drives started the second half. Atlanta took 9 minutes off the clock and kept on going right down the field. Go ahead. Finish.
11 drives for the Rams, and they had the ball for 22 minutes of the game. Not good enough at home. They're young. I'm still positive and happy. I was disappointed, though, like you said, the special teams kid, he actually got lucky, Farrah Cooper, because I thought he fumbled the third one. I didn't watch it on TV, and the replay system in the Coliseum's pretty terrible. They don't show anything. But he actually put the ball on a turf. It looked like the third time. I didn't.
He was down. Third time he was down. Okay. And the Rams, the Falcons only rushed for 124, 39 attempts. Boy, it just seemed a lot more than that for someone.
Gurley had 100, but it was the most boring 100 I've ever seen. It was uneventful. My buddy told me, he's like, Gurley has 100. I'm like, this is a bad 100. It might have been from like 2 runs. It's just, hey, they got outplayed. More credit to Atlanta. They're going to be dangerous. But
what was the feeling with the fans coming out of the building? What sense did you get? Let me hear.
Not like diehard fans. Like when my team I was pretty bummed, man. I mean, I was disappointed. I mean, most of them in there were just. They were with LA. We'll do something else. There were some diehards with me who were really disappointed, thinking they were going to the Super Bowl. Which, come on, we're a young team with a young coach, and this is our first year our quarterback ever played a full year. Last year he played 6-7 games and had Jeff Fisher. So, it was a little somber, but not terrible. Not like I'm sure if we were in New York or the East Coast or Philly and those crucial heartaching fans right there. But it was a good crowd, Chris. We did try to get loud and. Enjoyed the game, and I'll be back next year. And when they get that new stadium, it'll be pretty nice.
Stadium looks like it's a great stadium. Michael, good job. He's a Ram fan, zipping on down there to L.A. for the first round playoff game with Atlanta. Here's Mark in Maryland. Mark, your turn. How are you today?
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Hello, Marky. What's going on now? Let me hear.
Hey, it probably wouldn't have mattered that much, but if the Rams had scored at that touchdown at the end of
everybody's been saying that. That's been a big thing. That? Yeah, well, a couple of callers have brought it up. Go ahead.
Yeah, and they bought the replay. They stopped the game to do the review, and that just Atlanta was reeling right there. They would have gone up 14-13. Maybe the game would have turned out different, maybe not, but they're just overdoing these reviews.
Oh, the reviews are crazy. There's way too much replay. It kills the game. We don't know what a catch is. They review everything. It's a major problem. There's no question about it. Major problem.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And then, I'm thinking about tonight's game, too. I think I like Alabama in this game. If Hurts plays well, they should win. If he continues to play, miss open receivers like the other guy was saying, then maybe Georgia's got a shot. But I don't see how you could go against Alabama in a big game like this.
I think listen. I think the fact that the other quarterback, if this was the last 2 championship games, Watson gave them a lot of trouble. We didn't learn our lesson the first time when they hung in there and won Alabama and Clemson covered. Last year, same thing. This quarterback is good, but he's not like a Watson. And I think Nick, with this kind of player, is going to be able to figure out a way to defense it properly. 5:30, it's a sports bite time with Steve Turry here on Mad Dog Unleashed.